So you'll need some t-shirt yarn, a tape measure, some scissors, a 10mm hook or a 12mm hook. I used 10 in this video, and a stitch marker. So the t-shirt yarn will be doubled up, so I used 2 as one thread basically. And you'll need to start with a slip knot, like so, and then we'll start by chaining 10. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And it should look like this. So that's me just counting, making sure we've got 10 all together. And then starting in the second chain from the hook, so that's first and second, you're going to decrease. So that's insert your hook, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. So that's a decrease. And then just continue to single crochet down the rest of the chain. We're coming up to the last couple of stitches. Once you reach the last stitch, you're going to do an increase, which just means to put 2 single crochets into that last stitch. So that's 1 and 2 single crochets in that last stitch. So that's what it should look like. Then you'll want to chain 1 and turn your work. So that's row 1 finished. Then moving on to row 2. So you're starting again in the second chain from the hook, as I've shown you there, and you're just going to single crochet into each stitch. So with every row you should have 9 stitches, because we're increasing on one end and decreasing on the other end, so it evens out. So every row you should have 9 stitches, which makes it easy. So if you keep counting with every row, so that's 9 single crochets, no increases or decreases, chain 1 and turn your work. And then we're back to the decreases, increases. So starting with a decrease again, insert your hook, pull up a loop, insert your hook, pull up another loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. That's a decrease. That counts as 1 stitch, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we've reached the final stitch, and we're going to do an increase. So that's 2 single crochets, 8 and 9. And so you can start to see the shape taking now. So you're increasing on that side and decreasing on that side. So chain 1 and turn your work. And then we have a row of just normal single crochets. So you should have 9 single crochets here. So this section is a row where you start with a decrease, end with an increase, then 1 row of normal single crochets, and then repeat those 2 rows. So it's a 2-row repeat. Crochets coming to the end, and then you'll continue this until you have a total of 7 rows. This is what it should look like after you finish your 7 rows. Then moving on to row 8, we are just going to go into the second chain from the hook and do a row of single crochets, so 9 single crochets, and you're going to do that for 7 rows, so just 7 rows of 9 single crochets, no increases and no decreases. So chain 1 and turn your work, and just continue doing rows of single crochets until you have 7 rows. Once you've done your 7 rows, so I'm just showing you here that you've got the 7 rows where you're decreasing one end, increasing the other end, and then you've got your 7 rows of just normal single crochet, which you can see in the middle there. Now we're going to carry on the other side and reintroduce the increases and decreases, but in a slightly different way. So on the same side where you previously decreased, we're now going to increase so that we can see that kind of crescent shape forming. So we'll start with this side. So this should be row 15, I believe. We are going to start with an increase. And then continue down the row with single crochets until you have 2 chains left. And now that we've got 2 left, we're going to do a decrease into those 2. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, insert your hook, pull up a loop again, yarn over and pull through all 3. So we're doing the opposite of what we were doing previously. So chain 1, turn your work, and then like we were doing before, we are now doing a row of just normal single crochets. So that should be 9 single crochets. So chain 1 and turn your work, and then continue with that pattern of increasing to begin with and then decreasing at the other end, alternating with a row of normal single crochets. So I've come back having done that on the other side, and I've just chained 1 and pulling through the yarn, pulling nice and tight to secure it, and that's 1 panel done. So it should look like this. So I'll just turn it around so you can see. So that's the first panel done. And what we need to do next is just repeat all of that for another identical panel. I'm now back with the second panel, and so you should have two panels that look exactly the same, and these will be the body of the bag. Now time to join them together. So cut quite a long piece of yarn. So try to thread that through a darning needle and then line up your panels next to each other. And so you can see these V shapes on the sides of the panels. Insert your darning needle into the one furthest from you on one panel and closest to you on the other panel, and pull through. And so we pull through until there's just a small tail at the end, and then tie 2 knots. Back to threading. So like we said before, insert in the line of the V furthest from you and then closest to you on the other side and pull through. And just keep doing that going down the row. Probably will get tangled like mine because t-shirt yarn is very thick. So just keep doing that as you go down the row. Line up the V's, insert into the half furthest from you and then closer to you, and just keep doing that, pulling tight all the way down. So here I'm just showing you the bottom of the bag because there aren't neat V's next to each other like there are on the sides. So it's not a precise art here. I would say just insert your darning needle evenly going down the line, aiming for the horizontal lines, and as long as it's lined up correctly and there are no big gaps, it's fine. And then we're back onto the other side, coming to the end, and what I do again is I pull through and there should be a loop. Put your darning needle through that loop before you pull it tight, and that helps you form a knot. And I'll show you how to do that again. So you put your darning needle in where you normally would and pull the yarn through, and before you tighten it, insert it back in through that loop again, and then it should help you make a knot. And then cut it. And what I couldn't show you here was I attached the yarn to the side of the bag where it looked roughly like the middle, and did 3 single crochets, chained 1, turned my work, and then I'm just working 3 single crochets on the side of the bag, which will be the strap. Once you've got to your desired length and you cut the yarn, make sure you leave a really long tail because that's what we're going to use to sew the other end of the strap to the bag. So here I'm just marking where roughly looks like the middle, threading the end of the yarn through my darning needle, and then we're going to line up the strap to the side of the bag. So it needs to be the outside of the strap to the outside of the bag. And here you can see this, it's the width of 3 single crochets, and we're lining the second one up with the middle of the side of the bag. So that's the second one and the third one, roughly. It's not a precise art. So as we did before, we're going to insert our darning needle into the chains and pull through. You don't have to do a knot for that first one because it's already attached to the strap, so you just continue sewing it in. That's number 2, and then there's number 3, and because this is the end of the sewing, here we are going to do the knot, so I'm just inserting it back in pulling it through but not all the way, and then inserting my darning needle again to pull a knot through. And then I weaved in the ends a bit, and now I'm cutting the yarn. And this is what it looks like with a short strap, and this is what it looks like if you want it to be more of a crossbody with a longer strap. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.